So Lithuanians will always frequently tell you that at one point in time, Lithuania was the largest empire in Europe. It went from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea, and so that was like forever ago. But there's still this, that's kind of a reflection of their national pride, in that they love Lithuania and all things Lithuanian, and so it's kind of understanding that, and kind of that sense that they have, that they were once this really big, important country, and now they're not, and they know that. Kind of gives some insight into how they view themselves, and then some of the things that they value and kind of aspire to become. And also, the time that they were occupied by the Soviet Union was very like damaging to the country, especially so during the Soviet occupation. The Soviets destroyed almost all the genealogical records. It was illegal to speak or write in Lithuanian, or to have books in Lithuanian. So they tried to just burn anything basically that was a reminder of Lithuania's independence and kind of existence outside of the Soviet Union. And along with that, there was Lithuania lost the highest number of Jews per capita during World War II. There was a very significant Jewish population outside Vilnius as well as in Kaunas, but almost all of them were killed. There's a concentration camp in Kaunas that's a museum now, that I had the opportunity to go to, that and just kind of, I always struggle trying to know the right word to describe the experience that I had there. It was very insightful, and kind of awe-inspiring at what Lithuania has gone through and what they've been able to overcome. So there was that, the museum of the concentration camp. It's called Ninth Fort. And then there's a genocide museum in Vilnius, in the capital, that was a former KGB prison, that one of the members was actually imprisoned in while it was in use. And so the Genocide Museum has a component that's dedicated to the freedom fighters in Lithuania. So there were groups of people that would they sort of hid out in the woods, almost like Robin Hood, and built shelters and things that were buried underground that you couldn't see. And they collected anything in Lithuania that they could find to kind of keep their heritage alive. The people would write in Lithuanian, but using the Cyrillic Russian alphabet. So if someone were to just glance at it, they would think it was Russian, but they were trying to keep their language alive. And eventually, Lithuania was one of, if not the first country to break from the Soviet Union. The Soviets had control of the media, but there was a TV tower in Vilnius, in the capital, that some of the freedom fighters had taken control of and were broadcasting pro-Lithuanian materials from. And so the Soviet Union brought in some tanks, and they were going to just like mow down the tower and everyone that was there, but a group of Lithuanians just stood and held hands and lined like in front of the tower, just blocking with their bodies the tanks. Some were killed, but there was enough coverage that it sparked other events. There was a human chain that was made from Vilnius that stretched all across all of the Baltic states. There were just people holding hands that went from Vilnius up through Lithuania to Riga, and then up through Estonia to Tallinn, I think. And so it was just the people showing their unity and solidarity. And that was kind of the spark that led to all of the other countries breaking from the Soviet Union and declaring their independence. And so now in Lithuania, any sign or anything has to be predominantly in Lithuanian, and then it can have Russian, but only if it's in like smaller font and beneath the Lithuanian on the sign. And they don't really teach Russian very much in the schools. And there's older Lithuanians that were alive during the Soviet Union that speak Russian but will refuse to either admit or to even speak, just because they associate it with the Soviets and then all of the negative experiences that they had that way.